Hi, babe. Welcome to the... I forgot to put my rings on. This is how I get my power. Great. Hi, babe. Welcome to the Horror Show. I'm your host, Chelsea Beller. And today we are rating and reviewing Halloween's 1 through 5. Stay tuned. Do you guys like my new setup? It's good, right? We have Elvira. If you're ever sick of looking at me, look at her. Anyway, so we're rating and reviewing Halloween's 1 through 5. I'm very excited to do this. I just finished watching Halloween 5, so I have that fresh in my mind. Let's start with 4 and 5 because they're the same characters, essentially the same story. So we learned that Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween 1 and 2, had a daughter, and they named her Jamie. Made me cringe. Just a smidge. Just a smidgen of cringing. Michael has been comatose for like the past 10 years, and when he wakes up, he like overhears, I guess, that he has a niece who's still alive in Haddonfield, so he has to go back to Haddonfield and off her. Great. Why does he need to murder all of his family members? We don't know. Michael chases annoying little Jamie through 2 movies, essentially. He almost gets her in the first one, and then because she touched his hand, you already know how I feel about this, right? Because she touched his hand, now they have this telepathic, supernatural connection. Right. There wasn't a supernatural element in Halloween 1 or 2. At the end of Halloween 4, Jamie touches Michael's hand, which we all know is how evil spreads. And then she up and attacks her mother. And then we open on Halloween 5. This is almost immediately, or like a few months after Jamie attacked her own mother. And they're just like, forgiven, forgotten. And also she can't talk because that's a side effect of Michael touching you. He's mute, therefore you're mute. I don't understand why there's now a telepathic supernatural element. I would have appreciated this more if it were between Jamie and Michael. No, excuse me, strike that. If it were between Laurie and Michael. I was thinking of Laurie's real name. If Laurie and Michael actually had a supernatural connection, I would kind of be on board with that, because there's the whole thing about like twins and they feel what the other one feels, you know. I would get it more if it were 2 siblings. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of supernatural elements in horror movies as much as the next person, probably more. But the fact that this is only just now established in Halloween 4 and it hasn't been in Halloween 1 or 2, the ones that predecess it. Yes, there were supernatural elements in Halloween 3. We're not there yet. Chill. I just don't like when I'm watching a series or a franchise and a supernatural magical element is just kind of thrown in like part of the way through as like an explanation for things. It feels forced or lazy, or like they couldn't think of like a better plot point. So that's my criticism there. And a whole other aspect to Halloween 5 is that it didn't feel like it was about Jamie. It felt like it was about her sister's best friend, Tina. Like, why? Like, she didn't have, from what I remember, she didn't have a connection with Jamie in Halloween 4. And it's just like, why is this about you? I think if you wanted it to be about that type of character, go do that. Write that story. Don't make it about the annoying little kid. Sorry, but she's annoying. Who is mute for like half of the movie and then, everything's fine now. She can talk. Moving on. Moving on to Halloween 2. Caught you off guard, didn't I? Yeah, you thought I was going to talk about 3. Well, I want you to keep watching. Halloween 2, it was fine. It didn't wow me. There were more effects, more fire, more deaths. So like they upped the ante in that way. But I wasn't moved. There wasn't the same amount of tension. Halloween 1 keeps the most perfect amount of tension. And that scale rises and falls just at the most perfect times. And this one, it didn't quite hit the mark for me. I know a lot of people love Halloween 2, not trying to step on anyone's toes. I promise. This is just IMO. Also, Halloween 2, it didn't feel like it was a continuation of Laurie's story, even though I feel like it's supposed to be. Like, that's kind of what the premise is like, but what else happens? It didn't feel like Michael versus Laurie. It felt like Michael versus Loomis, which is kind of the through line of the franchise, of the movies with Loomis in it. But it should be Laurie, right? Because she's the final girl. She survived. She's the one he's after. Just my opinion. Okay, now Halloween 3. A lot of you are either side of the line, love or hate. And I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. I'm just talking my opinion because that's all I know. So I did not like this movie. I'm sorry. I have to admit, I did not know when I watched this movie that Michael wasn't in it, which I know a lot of people back when it came out in theaters, they didn't know either. And I know a lot of people were disappointed because of that fact. I also know that John, our beloved John Carpenter, wanted Halloween to be an anthology and not necessarily like a series with an overarching, plot. However, this movie also didn't hit the mark for me. The storyline and the characters weren't strong enough for me. The dynamic duo, I didn't have much of any empathy for. I didn't feel that tension throughout the movie. There was a clear, climax denouement, the whole bit, but I didn't like the explanation for these magical evil masks being Stonehenge, Celtic paganism, and witchcraft. Not that I don't believe in any of those things. I am sure that Stonehenge has mystical, magical powers. I believe in witchcraft. You should see the rest of this room. I believe in paganism. But it's also because I study and believe in those things that they're not inherently evil. But in the wrong hands, witchcraft can be evil. It didn't sit well with me. That's all. That's all, and that's all I'm going to say about it. All right, moving on. Finally, Halloween, the original. Oh, God. This movie made me love Halloween, the holiday. I remember being a child and just walking along the sidewalk in my witch costume, because it was always a witch costume or a vampire costume. I was always into the dark stuff, and hearing that music, it builds tension in and of itself. It's so perfect. The score, John just proves he's a genius once again. Michael Myers, he's such a strong villain because it's so simple. It's not overly complicated. He's a psycho killer that is after his sister or anyone who gets in his way or anyone who has sex. And this is all because of his past with his sister, in fact. So it makes sense. I'm on board, you know what I mean? And Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, we know she's phenomenal. She's phenomenal, and I loved all of her friends. I loved the little kids. I loved every inch of this film. The tension grows at a steady pace. There's not too many jump scares. There's fantastic cinematography because, once again, it's simple. It's simple. There's not a ton of crazy special effects. It's just he's sitting on the floor and then he gets up. He was lying on the ground and now he's not there. When John Carpenter and Nick Castle talk about Michael Myers, the role of Michael Myers, it is so simple. John was literally like, okay, stand up. Okay, turn your head this way. And that's it. And that's it. And I love that. I love when things are just simple like that and it comes across so well. Just I can't I can't sing my praises more about this movie. It will always have a special place in my heart. And I think that's true for everyone in the horror community. So this has been my quickie, cute little Halloween 1 through 5 rate and review. By the way, I'm now on Letterboxd, so find me on there. I'll put a little graphic thing somewhere on my face. And happy Valloween. Threw in a theme. Valloween. Happy Valloween, you guys, you babes. You're all amazing. I love all of you. Thank you so much for following me, liking, following, commenting, subscribing. It warms my heart. I am so happy. I'm finally really diving into this community, especially through YouTube. This is so fun. It's so fun. Bye, babe.